I just wanted to stop in and congratulate you all first off for mid-year service. That's no small feat, and each of you are doing really great things in the community. So thank you for being here. I remember my mid-service very well. It was like the first time that I felt like I kind of understood where my service was taking me, what my service meant, and then also kind of started thinking about the future, what happens after AmeriCorps, what's next. And so that's kind of what I wanted to share with you all. I found a community here in Knoxville because of my service, and my path here back to Knoxville was very windy, uncertain. I'm sure a lot of us have that same feeling. And so I just kind of wanted to share my story in hopes it might help your journey. And just know that I'm always available. I'm here in South Knoxville if you ever want to chat. The office has my info and you can always touch base with me. So I'll get started. So how it all started. Oh, we're going to breakout rooms. Let's see here. No, escape. I apologize for the technical difficulties here. Maybe. Ooh. Present would be good. There we go. Okay, let's see if this will work this time. Okay, so how it started. A lot of unknown, a lot of uncertainty, especially after graduation. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science degree, and throughout school, I really wanted to have both art and science in my life. And so I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Computer Information Systems, graphic design, and then I minored in geology because I really wanted to be able to add some science courses into the mix. And so afterwards, I ended up getting to teach for a little bit an introductory to design course, which was very rewarding, but intimidating, and led me on a path of what's next once again after graduation. And I decided to apply to the Peace Corps. And unexpectedly, I joined the Peace Corps. I started training in Senegal and Western Africa. And now
I don't understand.
We'll get rid of Siri there. And it was a wonderful experience. However, it didn't feel right. I was there for 2 months. I grew a lot. I learned a lot, but I didn't feel like I was in the right place to make a difference. And so I made the rough decision to come home, and I spent months on a couch, sad that my journey had ended and uncertain of what was next. And really my journey kept going after I went and found an indoor hydroponic farm near where I grew up. I started working there in the indoor farm, cultivating microgreens, which you can see in the very top image, and unexpectedly met a AmeriCorps alum that was a CAC AmeriCorps alum who had served here in Knoxville. And I told her about my journey so far and still being uncertain of what was next and really wanting to learn about science and art and find a way to combine the two together. And Emily suggested CAC. She had found her path and her journey. She's studying nematodes and how nematodes can prevent like algae growth in indoor farms like this indoor farm. Super interesting. And her help and her guidance led me to AmeriCorps, which is my service. And I served with Volunteer East Tennessee. It's a volunteer center in East Tennessee, and they really help connect volunteers to nonprofits, and they try to make it easier on volunteer coordinators. I served in like a marketing capacity and community outreach capacity. So I was out in the community talking about Volunteer East Tennessee, and also trying to help find volunteers for volunteer coordinators at nonprofits in the community. And that service was also, when I started, I wasn't sure really what my role was. How was I going to be helping in the community? What was I going to be doing that was going to be making a difference? And it was about this time, mid-service, that I started getting together with other AmeriCorps and serving at their sites and seeing what their experience was, and really getting a hold on what my service was. And that led me to gain a lot of confidence in myself. And I'm still not there yet, but it really helped me discover what I enjoyed in life. What I enjoyed in Knoxville was that sense of community that everyone I had encountered and met really cared about what they were doing here. It seems like CAC just is packed full of people that want to make a difference. And I think that kind of rubs off on all of us. And so my service was something that I'll never forget and has really helped me to where I am now. But my path wound again after AmeriCorps. My parents had a small business. It had caught fire, and they had to stop their business. And so I went back home to go help. I moved back to Indiana, which created all kinds of confusion again. But I remembered all the things that I had learned in CAC. I was back up north, the sand dunes, the very tip of Lake Michigan, enjoying nature like I had enjoyed the mountains here. I'd found a job as an educational assistant, and I was working with Shirley Hines Land Trust, helping kiddos, like in that picture, remove invasive species, teaching them stewardship, frog monitoring with Shirley Hines and Susie Nodebark, owl banding. There's a little saw owl at the very top, and just really finding community in Valpo. But I missed Knoxville. I couldn't stop thinking about how many nonprofits are here and what great community was here. And I really wanted to contribute to that. And so I came back and I was visiting some past alum, visited the mountains, stopped in the CAC office. I was talking to Jason and Christine and how I missed it here, how I missed that sense of community. It just didn't feel the same everywhere else. And so I actually got an email from Josh Cunningham about a position to ORNL. And ORNL is Oak Ridge National Laboratory. It's a national lab in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And they had a graphic artist position. And it was like the first time something clicked. And it was like, oh, I get to do science and art every day. Like, this makes complete sense. And thanks to a fellow CAC alum, I applied. And the position, it took a little bit to get in and to get in front of someone for an interview and for the process to unfold. But I ended up getting the position, and I headed back to Knoxville in May of 2020. As we all know, that was not the funnest part of 2020. And so I started working at the lab, and I'm at the lab today as a graphic artist. I work remotely, but I get to go into the lab and see all the amazing things that scientists are doing and researching to make a difference in the US and in the world. And then in my free time, I take my AmeriPup Oni out into IMS. I've also become an Adopt a Spot volunteer. And some of you may know me from the CAC mentorship program too. And all that being said, I really just wanted to be here today to share my story, because my path is very winding and it led me in a lot of different places in a short amount of time. But I met a lot of great people, and I found a community here in Knoxville that's helped me grow and find my place. And I'm here if you all ever need someone to talk to, or if you want to talk about your journey. And that's kind of all I have. Ashley, does that help? Do you want me to stop sharing here?
Jaimee, I have so many questions.
Okay. It's a very big path, so
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna ask two questions and then open it up to everyone else. But my two questions are: what is the day and a life of a graphic artist at the Oak Ridge Laboratory? And then the second question is: how did you band that little owl?
Yes, yeah, both wonderful questions. The first answer, Oak Ridge National Laboratory, a day in the life of a graphic artist, is every day is different. Every day is very different. Right now I'm remote. I have had the opportunity to go into the lab a handful of times. So I've gotten to see a supercomputer, which is super cool. There's all kinds of really neat things at the lab, but working remotely, I am mainly on calls like this with scientists that are studying incredible things, and I get to try to understand their breadth of work, and I get to help them try to communicate that visually. Sometimes it's a presentation, other times it's a science journal cover. But yeah, it's a really neat place, and every day is a little different. And in terms of owl banding, we were banding saw-whet owls. And so there's a program, it's called Project Owl Net. I believe it's throughout the US. And so the specific project I was working on, we would go out late in the evening and we would set up these nets. And so we would catch saw-whet owls as they were coming through. We would put a little band on them. I was a volunteer, so I was there to support them. I got to hold one of the saw-whet owls after months of volunteering. But they basically just are very delicate with them. They've been trained on where not to touch the owl so it doesn't impact their wings, and they just put a little band on it, and then they track those saw-whets to better understand their migratory path, and to make sure that they're doing well and they're healthy. So yeah, it's a very neat program, Project OwlNet. I see there's some chat. Do you want me to answer in here? Oh, no problem, Sarah. Thank you for all your service. Yeah, no problem. It's great to be here. Does anyone else do you guys have questions? Or if you have questions, but you just want to talk about your service, again, the CIC staff, they've got my contact information. Feel free anytime you can reach out. Just remember that, follow your dreams, because they might seem really far off, but they never are, as long as you keep doing what you love, and you keep making connections and meeting people. Eventually something good will come out of it. And I know that's hard in the moment, because I was told that a million times, and my path was all over the place. And it felt unmanageable at times, but it really does work out.
Thank you so much, Jaimee.
Yeah, no problem.
Great to hear. if other people don't have questions, I still have one last question that I want
Yeah,
to
for
ask you.
sure.
I'm very interested in what you're doing. I I once heard I once was listening to a panel discuss um the role of an artist and then also the role of physicists in trying to communicate things that aren't physically visible. And do you ever have moments like that in your work? Do you have to try to convey to the public things that just are not? Do you have to apply visuals to things that are not visually capable of being communicated?
Yeah, I mean, there are times when I've been in calls with a researcher where their research is not visible by like your eye. It's a theoretical piece of information. And so we just work really closely together because a researcher is very close to their research. It's very important to them. So it's just about trying to pull information from them to convey as close as we can to, theoretically to what it would be. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but there's definitely times when we kind of have to take creative liberties and maybe we write that in a report. But yeah, there's times when something is not necessarily something we can see and tangibly create by an experience or a known fact.
Jaimee, I had forgot about the part of your story with the Peace Corps. It's been a while, right?
Yes, yeah.
But you telling that piece of your story, I think, is important because I feel like many of us find ourselves at different points in our life on a journey or on a piece of a journey that we had thought was maybe the right piece of the journey, and then we discover it's not, or maybe we're told that we can't access the piece of the journey that we're trying to get to. And so sometimes those closed doors open doors that we couldn't have seen. I mean, I certainly, my life now, I could not have seen it when I was just getting started with AmeriCorps. I had a very clear sense of what I thought I wanted to do, and it didn't turn out anything like that, but just kind of being responsive and taking that dream and the core of the dream and allowing it to kind of shift and adapt to the opportunity and developing that opportunity and being responsive to it. Yeah, it's inspiring to see how that turns out.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it does feel like it evolves over time, but as long as you stay true to, those things that you're striving for or the way that you want to make a difference, it really does, it works out.
Well, if anyone has any more questions for Jaimee, Jaimee is right here and with us. And if not, Jaimee, you're welcome to stick around if you'd like. In room 1, we're gonna have an Ask an Alum panel, which might be fun. There's probably folks that you're familiar with on that panel. And then back here in this room, we're gonna be having one of our current AmeriCorps members who is going to be presenting to us on how spatial thinking can better inform and prepare us for life after AmeriCorps.
Very neat.
Does anyone have any additional questions for Jaimee?
Well, thank you all for having me. And again, the staff at CAC, they have my information if you ever have questions or if your path ends up leading you somewhere where I might be able to help or guide or be there. So thank you all.
Thank you, Jaimee. So everyone, we have 10 minutes till our next presentation. So you're welcome to take a 10-minute break, go stretch, or you can hop into the other room where Dr. Elizabeth Hamilton is talking about equitable ecosystem services in the form of old trees. And if not, feel free to join us back here at 4 o'clock